focus mainly on the pieces and the board. There's 32 pieces, as we all know, in total. But now we're just going to focus more on the board. So we're going to look at it from white's perspective. So if you're playing white, you'd have your pieces from this rook to this rook, A to H. And then from your rook to the black rook, this is called a rook, 1 to 8. And a trick which I always use when I want to set up my board is to know that there's always white on the right. You see on these edges it's white on the right. Even if you're playing as black, you know that it's going to be white on the right, not green, as you see here. There's green here. Green, black, or brown, depends how the boards are. But using chess.com's board, green. Never have green on the right side, otherwise your game will not be able to be played correctly. And it would be an undefined game. So always remember, if you're playing white, it's A to H and 1 to 8. And if you're playing black, it's flipped over, it's H to A and then 8 to 7, 8 to 1, sorry. But now that we know the board placement, always get this right. And then comes the pieces. These are the pieces. A pawn. Those are the 8. As you can see here, we'll use numbers. Second rank, there's 8 pawns. Seventh rank, there's 8 black pawns. But just think about this. So the pawn is worth 1 point. Knights, they're here. B1, G1. We're going to be using the notation. If that's too complicated, just think of the pieces. Knights, bishops, F1, C1 here, right next to the king and queen, which will go next. Bishop, the rook. Those, as we discussed before, are the very corner ones. 2 each. Queen, 1 each. They're 9 points. Sorry, before I had to say the bishops are 3 points. Rooks are 5 points. Queen is now 9 points. And the king, doesn't really have points. It's just, it is the strongest piece. You cannot really capture it. Either you checkmate your opponent, which I'll talk about in another video. And this is how usually the board is laid out with these pieces. And now we'll go through each of the pieces. So these are the pawns, 8 pawns each. They're always in a straight line at the start of the game. And we're going to always think of white's perspective here, but black can do the same thing, just flipped around like so. It's just the same thing, flipped around. Don't focus on the numbers here on the sides and the letters. Focus on the piece right now. The pawn can move only in straight lines. And they can choose to go 1 place up or 2 place. Sorry for using the side pawns. So they can use 2 places or 1 place. So you can decide between one of these. But once you do 2 in the first move, you can only do 1 until you reach the end. You can also just keep on going 1 if you choose to do that. And pawns can capture, but however, pawns can capture pieces diagonally. So let's say, your pawn is like so. It's white's turn. You can capture like this. Or there's another move which we'll go through. It's called en passant. Don't worry about that right now. So let's say if you're like so, he plays this, you can take. So you can move diagonally, only when capturing. It doesn't have to be a pawn, it can be any piece in the game. So for example, we'll just use an example. Let's say there's a knight here, and you move your pawn and he does this, you can take his knight. So that's worth 3 values, 3 points. Very crucial. Next, that's how the pawn moves. Next is our knights. We're all going to think of white's perspective here. Black can do the same thing I said before. Just going to have a knight on the board. So knights they move in an L shape. It may be confusing at start, but by an L, it's just 3, 1. Think of it as 3, 1, like that ratio type. So this is how it can move. Its final position would be here. So the end of the L. See, this is the L it made. If I make it clear, the L, that's the L. So here's where it can go from this position, it can go to anywhere. Those are all L's. They could be flipped over L's. So the knight can go here, 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 here. You could even see it showing an L anywhere here. And let's say if the knight was here, it can go here, 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 and here. And let's say if it's here, it only has these two spots. So usually you don't want your knights on these corners, but just to show you, it moves in an L shape. Next is the bishop. Bishops, there's two types of bishops. Remember, there's two knights. Forgot to say that, but there's two knights. There's two bishops. One will be on the white. One will be on the white squares. It can be any of, and on these squares, right? If you move here, then you can move all the way this. But one will be on the dark square. So you start like so, as white with your bishops there. They can move diagonally however they want to. Obviously, once one a turn, like so. Quick, sorry, not like that. Quick, only on the white squares, and it's pretty much how the bishop moves, diagonal, like a multiplication sign. Next is a rook, and just to say that these are called minor pieces. Minor pieces are worth 3 points. And now this is the major piece. These are major pieces. The rooks, there's two rooks. You go in a addition plus sign. They can go like so, up, down, right, left, but they can't go diagonally like a bishop. So it has its own set of rules. It can move like so. So it can be kind of weird at the start, but they always start here, so you will move it so. Next is this is a major piece, two major pieces, queen and rook. There's only one queen on the board. You'll start on the color your color is. So if you're playing white, you'll start on the white square, so D1. The queen can move, it's a combination of a bishop and a rook. It can move up, down, diagonal, however it wants. So from here, it can move like so. Obviously, more better, like this. It can move however it wants, unless obviously there's a piece blocking it. So if there's something here, it can't jump over it. It'll have to take it, and then it can go there. So that's how a queen moves. And the king, it's simple. Your king should not be up there if you're playing white. It should be somewhere down, anywhere here usually, but depends how the game progresses. Kings can only move one square, so it can only move in any of these. If it's here, it can move in one of these. Only one square. And that's for how each piece moves individually. Now there's this one move which can be taught. It's called the castling move. So this is how your game will start with, and there's pawns here, which I can show. The pawns, knight, bishop. But let's not use these right now, for now. So castling is a move where your king will move 1, 2, and it would swap like that with the rook. That's one move. So this is the move, castling. That's one move. It can also, if you didn't have these pieces here, it can also castle the other side, but it's just longer. This is called long castling. This is called short castling. As you can see, 5 and 4, or 3 and 4 and 3. So this is how you can castle. It'll always go 2, and then the rook will go to its side, the opposite side. But however, you cannot castle once you move your king. So let's say if you're in a game and you do this, you try and go back down, you cannot do this because you've already moved your king. Same with the rook. If you move your rook like this way is not possible to castle, but this way is still possible if you haven't moved any of the pieces. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is just about the pieces and its movement. Hopefully you will castle in your game. I suggest to castle in games. It'll help your king's safety. It keeps your king safe on the corner with these pawns, which are very useful. And the rooks protect the pawns. And if I haven't mentioned, each piece protects the way they go. So the knight would protect these squares. If there's a pawn here and the king was here, the king cannot take this pawn. It's not possible because the knight is protecting it. And I haven't talked about that, but the king cannot take any piece if it is being saved by another. So this knight is protecting this. Or let's say if the king was here and a bishop was here, then this is protecting this. So the king cannot, no, they cannot do that. But if it was like this, then yeah, then the king can take it. So just each piece saves what it does. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out the other videos if